Well, aloha, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to PWT Talks NXT. We're talking NXT for June the 24th, 2025. Do you know what that means? That means I got 6 days to figure out what I'm doing for my wife's birthday. That kind of didn't occur to me until just now.
Probably
Okay,
should get on that.
6 days. And then very, very shortly after that, one day after that, I'm leaving. 2 days after that, leaving for Dallas again, as I do every 2 months, to be gone for a week and to make a lot of money at a card show. So, Nate, it is a million degrees in this room.
Oh,
I don't want to exaggerate. A million degrees.
it's pretty hot here.
I
It hit over 100 here in New Hampshire today.
oof. I have not done this show shirtless since before there was a video element, but I just want you to know I'm thinking about it. Um, you can hear my cat wailing. I believe it's the heat.
We could do without your
Maybe not
video
that.
if need be.
Maybe that not that kind of heat. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so Sean, let's get this way out of the way right away. Sean Plicta says, "Why did Jada take the pin? Makes no sense." I thought the same, except here's the deal: Jada's so good at getting her heat back that I think she's basically like Ms. Bulletproof because she can just talk her way back to relative relevance. Um, that is why I think she took it because Izzy's kind of on her way up. They're trying something with her. Um, and then who else was in this thing? Lash Legend, I think, could still be damaged by a pin here, whereas Parker, I don't think really is. So it could be A, that they think she's bulletproof, and I kind of think she is. Or it could be B, she's moving up. So she's doing a job on the way out of the territory. I also don't think there's a big thing losing to Grace. Also, an option C, and these can all be true, is that they just wanted Grace to get a really big win on her way to this championship match. And wins over Izzy Dame are okay. Wins over Lash Legend are a little more okay, but a win over Jada Parker is a lot more okay. So maybe that's the thing. Um, that is what I'm thinking. So your main event was Jordan Grace over Jada Parker, Lash Legend, and Izzy Dame when Grace pinned Parker. At 12:48, it was your Iron Man match of the night. Um, Last week sure was whatever because it was just mostly matches to get into this match. This show had a lot more going on. I think I can't remember any of it, even though I'm sure I watched it. Um, but yeah, Jordan Grace. We said she was inevitable, Nate, and it turns out she is. So now
Mm-hmm.
attention shifts to her match with JC Jane, where the questions are: A, can she get a good match out of JC Jane? And B, if Jane is going to successfully hold on to this championship against Grace, how are they going to do that? Nate, go ahead.
I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine she wins clean over Jordan Grace, but we talked about the scenario last week, Jordan Grace winning this match, getting the match against JC Jane. I don't I can't see JC Jane losing just yet. She just won the title. Now I know we said she's going to be a transitional champion, so maybe this is the transition, but we also know that Jordan Grace is main roster bound sooner rather than later. I honestly figured she'd be up there like full time by now. So maybe that's also not the case. Maybe Jordan Grace is sticking around. If that is the case, maybe they do put the belt on Jordan here. Jordan's deserving of it. Put the belt on Jordan. Jordan carries the belt for a little bit here in NXT, the face of NXT, the women's division for a handful of months, and then goes up. I'd be totally fine with that. I mean, I think that'd be kind of cool to see her rock the women's division for a little while. Um, I think it would certainly do more. It would certainly do more for the NXT women's division to have Jordan Grace as the champion than JC Jane right now. I feel like there's a lot more compelling matchups that could be had, more compelling stories to be told, especially with the TNA ties right now. Jordan Grace, obviously a stalwart of TNA for so long. Um, there's obviously, former feuds that they could pull from. I mean, Masha Slamovich could challenge for the title, something like that. Um, there's so many different directions that they could go if that is the direction that they decide to go. Is with Jordan winning the belt. Um, it- like I said, I as much as I'd like to see that, I don't know if that's the case. I think JC's going to hold on to it, but I don't know how we get there without making Jordan look weak. If it's some sort of a clean, win. My
There's
guess,
no way. None.
there's no, I
No
know.
clean win.
There's no way for a clean win for Jordan Grace. My guess is it's going to probably be Fallon Henley to come in and accidentally or on purpose, accidentally on purpose, cause cost her the title, cost Jason Jane the title. If Jordan does win, or something like that, I don't know. I'm not sure, but I have a feeling if JC does retain, Fatal Influence will probably have something to do with it. That's what I was trying to say. Um, but I also could see them like have this also kind of be a because we've seen that tension building between Fallon Henley and JC Jane for so long now. This could also be kind of an impetus for them to implode if JC was to lose the title, or maybe Fallon is jealous that she retains the title or something like that. Maybe that moves into the next feud. I don't know, but those are my immediate thoughts anyway.
Brock Benningfield says last dance with JC Jane. You know what, Brock? Tom Petty was already totally sticking in my brain for like most of the day, and I successfully temporarily washed him out. Not that he needs to not be there ever, but he was just there most of the day. And there you go, bringing him right back. I did see Tom Petty at the Austin City Limits Music Festival. He was the headliner of, I think, 2007. I went a couple of times, and I think he was the very last act on the last day of '07. There was a downpour after about 3 songs. They waited it out for an hour and a half, and then they came back and played the full set. Went way later than intended. Tom was so stoned that he was just standing in one spot, but he put up his arms slowly and then just slammed them down at a big part in the song. But he did that same move like every song, and then multiple times in songs, and there'd be a light cue. And I wondered if the lighting guys were like, Tom, you keep doing that move. Like, are you aware you keep doing that move? A lot of love for Tom. But man, I saw him and I saw Willie Nelson in separate years of that show, both baked out of their minds. So, yeah, that's just my tangent, just down memory lane. Blake Monroe wasn't on this show, Nate. It didn't occur to me
Oh
until
yeah,
a couple of minutes ago. Yeah,
because that is what we were talking about for JC originally.
and she can sell the injury or whatever. It would have been nice to mention her. I don't remember them mentioning her, but it would have been nice. But yeah, that's she was Sir not appearing in this film. Um, okay, we also got the scenes with Izzy and the Barbie, with Tatum, Zaruka, Sean Spears, and Nico Vance. They got their eye on gold, Nate, because if Sean Spears and Nico Vance aren't worthy of tag team gold, anybody could win it. I said last week, they know that Hank and Tank are losers because they've not put them over anybody since they won the championship. But they're nowhere near the show this week. They just they weren't even here. Hank and Tank weren't even on this episode. Like almost everybody was, but Hank and Tank were not. So Spears and Vance say they're looking at gold, but don't even mention Hank and Tank by name. So whatever. Anything else on the hype? This opened with the hype for this. I guess my overall thoughts are wanted this match to be better. And it was everything that I don't like in a multi-man, which is lots of selling outside when it doesn't make sense to be selling yet. Um, and lots of pairing off and then just I don't know. I have a love hate, mostly hate relationship with multi-person matches that go to one pin, and tonight was so different. Any quick thoughts on the match as worked, Nate?
So, which match were you talking about? The main event,
The
or
main, just
okay, that's what I
another
thought.
multi-person with too much selling outside, and yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah. So some reason I thought we already talked about the main event and we were talking about something else, but all right, never mind.
Yeah,
Um,
we definitely did. I'm just talking about it as a match rather than just like as a booking piece, which we talked about. So
okay,
I don't know. I found this one disappointing. That's why I threw to you.
yeah, I mean, same. It was okay. Uh, I don't know. I guess it served its purpose. I do think like Izzy Dame, she's got a little bit of room to grow. Um, but yeah, yeah, I don't really have much more to say about that.
All right, a match that I did not think was wanting because it was very hard hitting and mean was Josh Briggs versus Trick Williams. This was their opener for the TNA Championship. Everything was fine except for the fans don't want to boo Trick Williams. um, Trick is doing such a good job at being a heel. His in-ring work is working as a heel. His backstage stuff is working as a heel, as we saw in the scene with High Rise, where Wesley was sucking up to him by saying that he made a match with Joe Hendry the next week. Everything is working except crowd reaction. Which is too bad. Briggs was really, really good in this match. Trick was really, really good in this match. I just thought that this was a tremendous hoss fight. Really good. Sean Plickta says Trick does not need to be a heel. I'm sorry, the fans like him so much and want to cheer him. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm looking at the silver lining, which is even though it shouldn't be happening, Trick is tremendous at it. He's so good at it. It's too bad that people aren't going along because he's doing really well. And I think if he was doing what he's doing right now on the main roster, going city to city and not being in front of the same people all the time, that wouldn't have happened. I think they'd be playing along with heel Trick here. So, as I've said week after week, they shouldn't have done it. But insofar that they did it, at least he's doing it really well. So that. Trick Williams did beat Josh Briggs at 11:28. Joe Hendry made the appearance, and the reaction was not the same. I think there's diminishing returns. He's come back a few times, and I think fans are like, okay, do it now, win this time, or whatever, or just stick around. I don't know. And Henry got a little mic time with Sarah Schreiber later, but I just want to get across this was a really strong power opener. And yeah, I'll throw to you, Nate.
Yeah, it really was. On paper, this isn't a match I really care about. I mean, I obviously want to see Trick Williams, Josh Briggs. Take or leave. But man, in practice, once this match actually got moving, very, very entertaining. I forget that Josh Briggs was a world champion in Evolve, right? The Evolve champion. So he's kind of, I guess, carried a promotion or whatever before, kind of been that guy. Obviously, not to the same extent, not to the same level, but yeah, I always think of him as a lower, not lower mid card, but like mid card, upper mid card type of a guy. Especially now that he's away from Brooks Jensen. but yeah, like I said, this pleasantly surprised me. I think both of them have had some great chemistry together. Brooks, I mean, very hard hitting in many points of the match. Um, I I don't think he didn't really have a chance of winning. I didn't think. It really made sense for Trick to keep the title. I don't think TNA would also like their championship lineage to have two WWE guys back to back. I'm sure that they'd like to have their title back in the hands of somebody in their own roster for that lineage and some sooner rather than later. Um, but it certainly works. Joe Hendry, yeah, I kind of feel like I hear what you're saying. The pop wasn't necessarily there. Um, I mean, my excitement for Joe Hendry is still there, but it wasn't. I don't know. Like I didn't go, yeah, as excited about Joe Hendry um, as I would be normally. You know, it, when he had the title, he had the championship. That was cool when he was trying to, kind of he had something to fight for. I guess now he does have something to fight for, is in the TNA championship, but to try and win it back. Um, but yeah, I don't know if that wave has if he's ridden that wave at this point. I still believe in Joe Hendry, but I don't know. It is possible that that viral energy has kind of been depleted.
I think so. I think he's gone from being a meme to being like a guy that now has to produce. We got a question about Bailey's match last night. We got a question about Cena's pipe bomb. I have not seen either yet. I am 1 week behind on main roster, which means I have not seen either thing. So, not ignoring you guys. I just don't have anything to say. I have heard
Yeah.
about the Cena pipe bomb. I've heard about it. I just haven't seen it yet. Um, as far as Bailey, I've not. I don't know anything about the match or how it went off last night. So, there you go. Let's go to another real good one. Javon Evans versus Tavian Heights. This one, 8 minutes and 52 seconds. Uh, uh, with the idea that Tavian Heights, if he won, he was free from New Quarter Catch Crew. I don't know why Charlie Dempsey has such a hold on these guys, why it's so hard to leave a group when it's just freaking Charlie Dempsey. Like, he doesn't win
Yeah.
very much himself. Can't you just slap him and walk away? I don't know why it's so hard to leave Charlie Dempsey.
Well,
But
you see,
Javon,
when you join the No Quarter Catch Crew, you sign a contract. It's the best I can come up with.
yeah, I don't know, but at least it gives us Ren Sinclair and her ridiculous reactions. I love her so much.
Speaking speaking
Protect her at
of,
all costs. Go on.
she's got a. I haven't actually figured out what her YouTube channel is. Maybe it's not even YouTube, and she's doing this on like TikTok or different platform, and I see it somewhere else. But every Wednesday she posts a video. Ren's Day, Happy Ren's Day, and it usually includes Charlie Dempsey. She's been doing it for like maybe 20 weeks or so now, give or take, and they're always absolutely incredible, very delightful. You just need to throw it out there. Look them up if you haven't.
Brock Benningfield says, "Got to read the fine print." Yeah, I mean these wrestling contracts, they're full of chicanery. I first learned the word chicanery from wrestling. Probably the only useful thing I ever learned from wrestling. Everything else has been like, why do I feel this is as useful in my brain as bong resin? But whatever. What are you going to do? Sean Plickton says, like tights tonight. Haven't seen much of him, but why is he wearing a mask? LOL. That you might have missed. So early on in the show, which you said you missed the first match, the very next thing after that match was that there was a backstage segment with the three members of NQCC selling an injury, and he and Charlie said, "I'll take the mask if I, or I'll take the match if I have to," and Heights saying for sure that he was going to do the mask. So I don't know if this is a D'Lo Brown thing where he's going to use the thing as a weapon and just say that forever he's injured because like D'Lo Brown had the chest protector forever, like a year, 2 years, whatever he did. I loved D'Lo, by the way.
So did I.
Loved. Yeah, but anyway, that is why they're doing a potentially worked injury, or maybe there's just something going on. I don't know. But that was your match. Javon beats Tavian in 8:52. A great styles clash. Tavian he's just becoming one of my favorite mat guys in this company, more so than Charlie, who is a mat guy through and through, maybe. And Javon, of course, doing great things. Taking his time away from the championship picture. I'm sure he will be there again. But Ryan Solorio says, or Cowboy Bob Orton's cast. LOL.
Yeah.
I remember that. Nate, I did not think you would. Go ahead.
I don't know if I was alive for that, or if I was really little, but I know about it. Just because I wasn't alive or something doesn't mean I don't know about things.
Early to mid
Sometimes.
Early to mid 80s, yeah.
Yeah, that would be before my time, 1988. But yeah, why is it so hard to leave the No Quarter Catch crew? Like, I don't understand. They kind of should explain that. Like, why do you need to have a match to leave? You need to have a match to get in, but you just be like, "Yo, guys, I'm out." If you're not, if you don't have if you're not vibing with your team, why would you want to stay a team anyway? Why would you? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But were you gonna say something?
I was just wondering if my coughing was all coming through. Sean said, "Bless you," and I was like, "I've been muting myself every time." Did
Maybe
you
Sean,
hear me coughing a lot?
I don't remember, but maybe Sean's just very perceptive.
Maybe he just saw me
Yes,
coughing.
that
Okay,
could be. We are on YouTube after all.
that is true.
But no, great match. This is an absolutely great match. Tavion Heights, like, he impresses me because I forget how good he is, and then you watch him and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot. And obviously Javon Evans, absolutely incredible. These two, put on a hell of a show. I kind of like the fact that Javon won here because we kind of continue this thing with the No Quarter Catch crew. Tavion Heights trying to leave, I guess. Maybe kind of get an answer for that. But regardless, like we were talking about, I want to see Ren and Charlie Dempsey stay together, kind of no matter what happens to No Quarter Catch crew. They've got a great rapport together. Ren has so much charisma that Charlie can feed into because I don't want to say he's devoid of charisma, but he has less charisma than his father does, or at least that's what he's shown or been able to show so far on WWE TV.
There's an intensity there. Like he carries himself with some level of
He
swagger.
does. He does. I'm
And
not
maybe
trying to
that's
say.
taught. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not
Because
trying
this
to
is
say he
not a
doesn't.
It's not a Ted DiBiase Jr.
No,
situation where there's like
no.
a massive chasm. There's still a large chasm between what they can do, but I think that Dempsey is bringing more to the table than Ted DiBiase Jr., which might be the faintest praise I've ever given anyone.
But no, 100%. But what I guess what I'm trying to say is that the two of them, especially if you see what they do on social media, the two of them have some chemistry where he plays the straight man and she doesn't. She plays the clown, the comedian, and it works. It works really well, and I think, and they've showed that on TV. But I think if they can show some of what they're doing on social media on TV, it's just going to get the two of them over even more so, especially if they're kind of disbanding the NQCC anyway. So I'm kind of keeping my fingers crossed for that.
Brock Benningfield says Charlie is a little awkward. It reminds me of Kenny Omega. I don't know.
I can see it. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
I guess so. I think that Kenny is a through and through nerdy guy that became so good at his job that you forget he's nerdy, and then he talks and he's kind of nerdy. Like he came out to a match in New Japan. Oh, actually, maybe it was AEW, dressed as I think Sans. One of the character he did one of the characters from Undertale, and I think that this is a nerdy guy just being nerdy and kind of owning it. Charlie, I think, might actually in life be one of the cooler guys in the room, but isn't necessarily like a chatterbox.
That's kind of what
So
I
I think
get.
these,
Yeah.
so either of these guys might be, Ryan Slorio mentions that was AEW. Okay, yeah, I thought maybe that was. I've seen way more of him in New Japan than I have in AEW, but I think that was not just AEW, but early AEW where he showed up as Sans. And Ryan says in New Japan, Kenny had aura. He definitely did. The claps to the Terminator 2 thing, all that. I know he still does a lot of that stuff, but yeah, and he didn't have to carry. He got on the mic, but he also can speak fluent Japanese, which I think is super cool. He would do his post main event wins in Japanese. So didn't know I was going to talk about Kenny Omega tonight, but here we are. Okay, let's talk Ricky Saints versus Ashante the Adonis. This was 756. This was pretty good. Ashante can really work. I just don't know if they have any plans for him because he certainly never wins. They finally gave him a storyline and they killed it. And now Carmen's not even on the show. So I don't know what any of this is. I don't know if they thought they were going to fire one or the other, and that's why they ended the storyline and then they didn't fire one or the other, or what this is. But anyway, Ricky Ashante was just a step over guy here, and what I wrote in my report was Ashante hasn't really seemed like he had a really obvious way to get to the main roster since he was in Hit Row, and then Hit Row was what it was because Vince made the decisions he did and did not get um, did not get that group, which is I just I love him so much, man. Okay, anyway, not Vince, not Vince. I want to make that
Okay, I
clear.
was gonna say.
No, uh, obviously not. I love the he departed to AEW very, very much. Okay, so anyway, I'm all over the map. Ricky Saints over Ashante the Adonis, 756. And then we had the video. I thought this was kind of cool with the Ethan video, but then it glitched out. Um, and and then Ethan ran into the ring and attacked and hit him with the Rochambeau, his own move. That is a very New Japan kind of thing to do, hitting somebody with their own move. Although you never get the pin on that. But he hit the Rochambeau on Ricky Saints very shortly after Ricky hit it on Ashante. So this feud is never going to end. But I think but I think the characters are getting away with it. And Ava is all talking tough. She's going to get them into her room next week, and they're going to figure this out. And Ethan was still a dick about it, which I appreciate. So Saints over Ashante, Nate.
I really enjoyed this match. Like, like you said, Ashante, he hasn't really had much to do right now. But man, he's a great wrestler. And I don't know, I'd like to see them kind of find a place for him that isn't I don't know, enhancement talent. You know, he took he took that gimmick with Carmen, that storyline with Carmen, and it was interesting. It wasn't a great one, but I mean, he did the best he could with it. Um, I don't know. I'd like to see them actually give him something that maybe we could see him sink his teeth into, because man, he is great between the ropes. Um, Ricky Saints obviously made sense for him to win here. This was kind of as you said, it's a match to step over here for him. Um, the Ethan Page video, I I don't know if that was actually supposed to glitch or not. They had some production issues throughout the course of the night. There was an
There were
audio
some
issue.
sound issues.
There's some sound
So
issues.
I thought that this was a brilliant work, but then after they had the sound issue later, I was like, maybe it wasn't. Maybe we were
Yeah.
supposed to get more of the video. But I will say, Paige was ready to go suspiciously quickly. Um,
Well, what
and Vic covered it fairly well, and Vic is not that smart. So it seemed like maybe it was all a work. But if it wasn't, I will say they made chicken salad out of chicken crap.
that's honestly what I think happened. I mean, it could have been a work, and they worked me, but it seemed like it was just there was like a couple seconds of awkwardness, and WWE doesn't really do that well with awkwardness unless they do it by accident. The intentional awkwardness, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. They're not good with doing that. Um, uh, so I don't know. I think what happened is just we saw the pause, and then Ethan Page just was like, "Oh crap," and went. And they covered for it on commentary. But either way, it went really well. If it wasn't staged, or sorry, if it was staged rather, I think they pulled it off excellently. It certainly worked. Um, what else? I think that was it. That's all I got.
Nate, I think something I'm starting to notice is that I always do Tony D's matches last, and it might be accidental. I kind of try to go in order. I do main event, and then I do, okay, this is a good match, so let's talk about this, or this was relevant. And then I get to the stuff that was neither good nor relevant, and that leaves Tony D'Angelo. I'm sorry, Tony. I've been doing this for a long time, but I can't believe this feud is still going on. Tony D versus Stacks. Best thing about this is that the Heritage Cup is once again in rounds. The worst thing about this is that Noam Dar is injured.
Yeah, what
He was
happened to
out
Noam
for like a
Dar?
year or year and a half, and now he comes back, wins the championship in his first match, in a match against Lexus King, where both of them promptly disappear from TV for a while. Lexus was doing Evolve for a while, um, has been doing Evolve for like a month or so, and then and so he disappeared from it, and Dar did too. So yeah, Dar apparently injured, unless they've got a story or something backstage happened and we don't know anything about. I don't know. I don't know what happened. It's just a bummer.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, Stacks wins.
all I know is like I saw it a few days ago. Like it was on Reddit that Noam Dar had to vacate the title due to injury, but there was nobody had any information. And I was looking it up to the show, and I just started looking it up again. Still no information if this is like a work or if he's actually legit injured. I can't imagine it's a work. I hate to see him injured, but um, yeah, that it sucks.
Maybe he's taking the Oro Mensah, Jakara Jackson news very hard. I don't know. I mean, it could be that he's standing up for that. Like I say that like I'm joking, and I'm not. I don't know. I don't know Noam Dar other than being that guy that I couldn't stand at the beginning of the Cruiserweight Classic, and then by the time he was saying Alicia Fox, the most beautiful girl in the world,
Oh my
and all of a
God, I
sudden he
forgot
was
about that.
just, and he was just my guy after that. So Tony
We could even get
D'Angelo
I
versus Stacks. What's that?
was gonna say we could even get Alicia Fox back in NXT. She's in
I
TNA.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
And yeah, I just rewatched the Rumble where she came back and then, like, while not on the roster, won the 24/7 championship from R-Truth, and then lost it back. Um, Tony D versus Stacks. Stacks wins this one in 5 rounds, 2-1, after injuring and then working the leg. Luca Crucifino, the story just kind of still does what it does. This so Luca and Tony did the same thing they've been doing. It was essentially a repeated spot, but I'm going to give them a mulligan on this one because this wasn't even supposed to be the match that happened tonight. So they're dragging this out, it feels like, because they did the same kind of thing tonight, but it really was because they didn't have Noam Dar to cover and do this in a different way. But yes, mostly just happy that they've returned to rounds matches. I love rounds matches, and I'm glad that was just a Lexus King heel edict, and we are back to the rounds because otherwise there's no reason for the championship. Stacks is a championship. One is a champion. One time, Corey called him Lorenzo. I don't know if he was supposed to because nobody else is anymore, but he did do it one time. Doesn't seem to be on the screen ever. But yeah, Brock saying what I was going to. Oh, okay, Brock. The thing is, how did Tony know it was Luca that hit him with the bucket?
Yep.
Indeed. It could have
gonna
been
say
any
the
one
same
of the
thing.
three nameless goons.
Yep.
Yeah. But he somehow knew that it was Luca. So okay, here's the thing. We saw Luca very, very intentionally hit Tony. But I don't know if that's supposed to just further the story and the performer was just like, okay, I have to hit Tony now. Or if the performer is so good at it, he made it look like he was like it was going to pay off a thing with him being with Stacks. So yeah, Steve Repsher said they said his full name when announcing that he won the match.
Yeah.
Well, you know what,
And
Steve?
I
Apparently
was
I
gonna
wasn't listening.
I was gonna say they've done that a few times. So it seems like they've in promotional things like graphics and things, they're just calling him Stacks, but they will still call him Channing Stacks Lorenzo on commentary and in announcements. I've noticed anyway. But at least lately, I've only seen Stacks in graphics.
Ryan says that was Booker T, Kelly. The other two were calling him Stacks. Then Booker T got angry and told them to say his full name. Corey definitely said Lorenzo, and that is the one that I wrote down. I did not catch that Booker T was doing it. My wife sometimes is in the room during the show. She tends to talk a lot during the matches and then not talk during the commercials. And I joke about this with her all the time. I'm like, commercials are the time to talk to me. This thing that I'm covering, not. But yeah, I missed that they were doing that. So okay. Um that is that's all the matches. High rise trick. We kind of covered that. Obafemi, Yoshiki Inamura, Yoshiki is how you would say that. And Corey said it correctly, and it was so jarring to hear him say Yoshiki, because that's how you would say it. I have been studying Japanese for 660 days, something like that. I can tell you exactly. 646 days in a row. And I'm doing
Say
okay.
it. Say it
I can
again.
kind of do it.
How do you pronounce it one more time?
Yoshiki.
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 Okay. All right.
Yeah, you're still doing too much I. Yoshiki. You
Yoshiki.
almost don't do that I at all, even though the I is there. That sound is it's there. Yoshiki. So yeah, and you got to do it for a while to figure it out. Like my wife will say stuff back to me, and I'm like, it's not that, but I couldn't make sense of it either at first. Okay, so Obafemi, Yoshiki, and Mura, and Jasper Troy, who was all the hell over this show, which is to say he showed up twice and beat up people. Oba coming out there, and just in case you had forgotten, he's the coolest guy in the world. He came out and was the coolest guy in the world. And then Inamura showed up, and he was wearing a button-up shirt. He was giving it a shot. He's not as cool as Obafemi, but nobody is, so we're not mad at him. And he gave a nice little fiery promo and brought some Tokon, some fighting spirit into this, and he's definitely going to be in that match. But it might not just be him. It might be both he and Jasper Troy. So next week we get both Inamura and Troy in a number one contenders match. But I'm betting on the old standby of the triple threat after this happens. Sean Plickta says Jasper is a big dude. That perhaps is Sean's least controversial take ever. Nate on the crossover segment with Oba, Yoshiki, and Jasper.
So I like this. I like this a lot. I'm gonna now I just assume I'm pronouncing it wrong, but
Just say it
Yoshiki,
how you want to. Just and do that.
Inamura.
We're fine.
Uh,
There you go.
there we go. Just do it that way. So I think it was last week or the week before, he said to Josh Briggs, Josh Briggs was talking about wanting the TNA championship, which he got that title match tonight. Inamura said that he wanted to go for the NXT title, and here we go. He called out the champion here tonight. I like this. It's again somebody who's not necessarily 100% NXT. I mean, he doesn't have an NXT profile on WWE.com, right? Doesn't have a superstar page. I don't think he's necessarily signed. I think he's still, working, kind of one of these deals with was it Noah? It was Noah. But I really like it. A lot of charisma, great wrestler, and I think that's going to be a hell of a match. Jasper Troy, big hoss. We saw what he could do against Obafemi already. So I don't know. I'm either thinking Inamura is the red herring and he's going to lose, and we're going to see Jasper Troy and Obafemi once again. But I'm hoping we get the triple threat because I want to see Inamura get his shot. Don't really always advocate for triple threat, but in this case, I kind of am because I want to see him get a shot. And I think honestly, Jasper Troy deserves that shot too, right out of the gate. Let's see what he can do. LFG winner. He's already been put in a big spot. Why not put him in a bigger spot and see if he can sink or swim? Hopefully swim.
Sean Plickta says wrestling is getting in such a bad habit of doing triple threats or multi-person matches. Yes, but they've been there for a long time, 25 years at the very least. WrestleMania 2000 had one singles match, count them, one, and it was Terry Runnels versus the Cat. So, yeah, these multi-person matches have been happening for way, way too long. Okay, so yeah, Miles Bourne had a scene with a couple of guys who play for the Florida Gators, George Gums Jr. and Tyreek Sapp, names that I definitely knew before tonight.
Oh yeah,
I wrote them
totally.
down, and I was fast enough to do it. So there you go. Heritage Cup hype. Let's see. Dark State. Hey, Dark State's still a thing. Good for them. They said something big was happening later. The white guy in Dark State is still just so bad on the mic. I could cry. And he's the one guy whose name I never remember. It starts with a C and definitely has some more letters in it. That's as much as I can give you on him. Thea Hale talked with the Evol gang. She's got a match coming with Lainey Reed. I will say Thea Hale needs to be doing more stuff than this. I feel like she should have been up there as it's easy to say she's the next Alexa Bliss, but Alexa came back, so Alexa is the current Alexa Bliss. Sean Plickta says Miles seems cool. He does. He does seem very cool, and I like that he turns on the deafness just to annoy heels. I love that. Goodfella reminds me the guy's name is Cutler James, so I had the letter C right. Needs to find some charisma. I think he was born without it, but he's surrounded by it, which is why he's in this group in the first place, I guess. Chase U, it's a toxic environment. Andre Chase tried to double down, and Uriah Connors and Cale Dixon walked out on him again. So anything on the outside storylines that were happening, Nate?
Um, oh God. I already forget
I
what you
can I can
what you
drop
said.
them on you one by one.
Yeah, do it again.
Miles with the Miles with the Florida Gators, and then Lexus King.
Okay, yep. So there's that one. So I again, yeah, like you said, I don't know who the two guys are, the two Florida Gators are. Not really much of a sports guy, and even if I was, that's not my local team, so probably wouldn't know who they are anyway. But it was a decent enough segment. Like Lexus King being annoying. At least we got him on TV. I think they're underutilizing him, so there's that.
I'm an extreme sports guy. I run a sports card shop, but college dudes, no. I'm old enough that I've only got room in my brain for the guys who are already in the pros. Dark State, they talk, Nate.
Yeah, they did. Um, and I forget about what.
They talked about the same stuff as always, which is to say, I don't know
Yeah,
either. Okay. Uh, Thea Hale, what you got on her?
Thea, he's like you said. I mean, I don't want to call her the next Alexa Bliss either, but I mean, I think she has the potential to be somebody like that. I don't, and the thing is, I don't know if it's going to be in this incarnation of this Thea Hale character, much like the version of Alexa Bliss that ended up getting over and that became super popular was not the sparkly Miss Bliss that we originally knew, or even the heel version of that. It was more of this Bray Wyatt, Bray Wyatt-esque character that she kind of morphed into and has kind of become now. Um, and I think with Thea Hale, it's going to be kind of a similar thing. Um, I think this character is either going to evolve to a point where she's not super over the top, or it's going to evolve into something a little bit different, and that's what people are going to wind up biting into. But man, I hope that is the case for her. What else we got?
Finally, we have Chase U. It's a toxic environment.
It is a toxic environment, and Chase brought it up, and I can never remember these two guys, Uriah Connors and Cole Dixon, Cale Dixon.
Oh, you were so close, Kale
Cale
Dixon.
Dixon. Cale Dixon. I only said Cole because I play the video game, and anybody who plays a video game and plays the My Rise knows Cole. So there we go. But Cale Dixon, Uriah Connors, I mean, they knew what they're getting into last week. Or they knew what they were getting into before last week. I don't know why they were so upset that Chase got upset and flipped out and whatever, but they addressed it and I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a problem anymore.
Steve Repshire said Uriah Heep, and I graduated with a kid named Jeremy, whose middle name was Uriah because his parents were hippies, and they gave him the middle name Uriah after Uriah Heep. So there you go. That is, I believe, our show. Yeah, covered some matches, covered some stuff. That is NXT. It feels weird to not be talking about Stephanie Becaire
Julia.
and Julia, but such is life.
Yeah.
Soon enough, we will not be talking about Jada Parker anymore, and that makes me sad. But that's why we cover this, because we're interested to watch them make it big and watch them do that. We will. I'm Kelly Wells. You can find me on Blue Sky at other Kelly Wells. Nate, who are you?
Nate Lindberg. Check the things I do out at NateLindberg.com.
Ryan Solorio says you can talk about Horseshoe. You know what? Here you go. We're gonna go off the air, but Nate and I promise we are gonna talk about Horseshoe with each other for about 4 hours. Does that sound like a deal? Cool. Luther Reigns
I got my
ends the
notebook.
show once again. That is that, and we will see you in 7. Cheers.